It's extraordinarily beautiful here, and this is surely a very easy way to transmit or to share satsang, because you don't need to do so much. It is so strongly supported by the surroundings, indicating the goal of satsang more than my words could ever do, which is the oneness of all life. So I am very happy to be with you. Thank you for sitting here in this circle, and I hope that I will be able to contribute something to this beautiful event. I heard from Benjamin what the center of the teaching is these days, and I've adjusted somehow the topic of this meeting to the event. So I hope that it will be somehow a sort of continuation, natural continuation, and that it will help to deepen the insight, the experience. Usually when I give what is called satsang, which is simply really a talk of, or a sharing of the meaning of spiritual awakening, I simply give some talk, quite a long one sometimes, and then at the end we have time for questions, for sharing, for thinking together about everything that has been said and experienced, and clarifying confusions. Every satsang is always, every satsang tries to show some kind of paradoxical truth. Paradoxical truth meaning a truth that is too complex for our linear logic to comprehend. Therefore, we need questions. We need to talk things over to make sure that we understand. So hopefully we'll be able to come out of this circle with some exciting understanding. Let's see. Okay, so to begin our meeting, I'm going to give some guided meditation. This guided meditation comes from the world of Vajrayana Buddhism, the Vajrayana tradition, and more specifically the inner fire tradition, the Tummo. And this technique is usually considered to be just a very preliminary preparation for the grand practice of inner fire, but I think it is so wise and so perceptive that it really is a meditation in itself, and it's also a good foundation for something that I think is a tremendous insight. The meditation, which you can easily do whenever you feel like it, is called the empty body meditation. It's not only a meditation. Originally, it is also used for healing purposes and energetic balancing. So whenever we feel that we are physically and energetically out of balance, it's traditionally advised to do this for as long as it is required. So let's sit comfortably, or at least intentionally, because you're already sitting comfortably, I think. Let's sit in a meditative posture. And when it is possible, we will gently close our eyes. Take one deep breath to signify that we are delving into the world of meditation. Then breathe slowly and deeply. And the first thing we are going to do is to pay attention to the body as it is right now, as it is experienced ordinarily, which is a regular body of flesh and bone and blood, organs, a body that is substantial, dense, material. This body perhaps has right now certain blockages which only enhance the feeling of density, so just notice this ordinary perception of the body. But then we will visualize how the body is slowly melting into light. One body part after another, until it is completely dissolving into emptiness, into space. So that all the material substance is now replaced with a space-like body that is filled only with air or light. Instead of a head, we have now just space with the thin, transparent outline of the skin. So all that is there right now is this air or light outlined by a glowing, skin, glowing outlines. Just like a balloon seems to be filled with something, but it's very thin cover covers only air. The body is so insubstantial. It exists, and at the same time it doesn't exist. Like rainbow in the sky. Feel how everything inside is crystal clear, lucid, covered by this glowing skin. And feel how in this way, if there are any blockages, because of this space-like state of the body, the energy becomes straightened, it flows better. Just be for one more moment in this empty body state. If you take a look into the body, you can find only space. So you can slowly and gently come out of the meditation. Perhaps you can even maintain this space-like state of the body and listen from it. So usually this very simple visualization is used in this tantric tradition to help purify the chakras, help the chakras to function better. So then when we can enter the deeper practices, we don't need to busy ourselves with over-emotionality in our subtle body. But so that's the traditional use. But what I want to share with you is the deeper insight that this meditation contains, because it tells us something that is not just a healthy or helpful visualization. It is actually a deeper reality of the body that we tend to overlook. And the deeper reality of the body, or this deeper insight, is that as long as we look at our body from the outside, as in a body image, you know, the body that we see in the mirror, the body that everyone looks at, then we will experience that our body is made of flesh and bone and blood. It is earthly and material. This sometimes gives us the wrong feeling, the illusory feeling that our body is actually a very dense matter. It's very condensed, and it really is material. But what we realize is that if we stop looking at the body as an object, like looking at the body from the outside, and we're starting to look into the body, to look at the body from the inside, we realize that what we find there is not substance and not matter, but space. That's what the body is made of, really. And when you're realizing that the body is actually made of space from within, that this is its reality, you realize that it is actually also much more spiritual than we have been told. And I will speak about it soon, but let's give an example. When we enter meditation very deeply. We close our eyes, we go so deeply. Sometimes we're told go within, and we interpret this going within as in a way leave everything behind. Within seems like some kind of an abstract or vague concept or principle, and then when we go within, we experience very often that the body disappears. I don't know if you've ever had that as if there is no body, as if there is only space, only emptiness or silence. And then we feel so light and so airy and so released. And then sometimes we say, the body was gone. It's like I lost body consciousness. I was so free. I lost my earthly clothing or whatever. But really, what happens is that we went within, we went deep into our body, deep enough to realize that it is made of space. So it's not that we really let go of the body. It's actually that we finally go into it. We finally delve into the secret of the body. We are shocked to realize that this is so light, this is so airy, this is so non-material, and that's why we never relate it to the nature of the body. We say, I've lost my body consciousness. But you haven't lost your body consciousness. You've actually finally realized what body consciousness is. Because body and consciousness, they are not two separate things. The body is consciousness. There's nothing to leave behind except for one thing that we will speak about soon. But here's what I said, it's very different from what we've been told, right? And this sounds almost like a conspiracy theory. But it's not really a conspiracy theory. It's more a certain indoctrination that we've received from religions and from some conditioned spiritual approaches of the past. This religious perception has told us for already thousands of years, for its own reasons, it's not important why, has told us that the body is not spiritual, the body is material, it's earthly, and it's also the house of this house of the flesh is the place of lust and desire. Therefore, what we need to do is that we need to elevate ourselves to the level of the spirit consciousness, and to detach ourselves from the earthly bondage and be released from the temptation and lust and desire of the physical realm. This is not more than a superstition, a very distorted description, and we hear in this description that actually the body, and sometimes we have actual descriptions like that are very very sharp and very painfully strong, that say that the body is the source of all evil. The body is the source of everything that pulls us down to the ground, and so on and so on. So this, to us, because we never really question that perhaps too seriously, it makes sense. Because we say, yes, of course, it's the physical realm that is connected, associated with temptation, lust, desire, all that. And we don't realize that in reality, the body is actually more spiritual than the mind. And that if anything needs to happen, is that finally the mind needs to learn how to follow the body, rather than the body needs to follow the mind. So the first thing that we learn to experience, that challenges this old perception, is that we're beginning to realize that whenever we really meditate on the body, we never really take the trouble to enter it with our perception, we realize that it's actually filled with consciousness. It's not only filled with consciousness. First of all, the body is the closest thing we have. It's just a figure of speech. But the body is nature. Many people, they fantasize about going to nature. We are right now in nature, you see? As if we are not in nature. But actually, we are in nature all the time. The body is nature. And as nature, that's why whenever we come to nature, we immediately, the body recognizes its brothers and sisters. It's hello sun, hello trees, hello moon. We are one, and we've always been one, because the body has never been separate. Has never been separated from nature. It's actually, if you think of the universe as a huge body, or as a huge tree, then the body, our physical body, is physical, is like is like a leaf of this tree, and then obviously the leaf recognizes the tree. The communion the body has with nature is actually, it's not even communion, it's unity consciousness. It has never been separated from nature. That's why the body also, in reality, naturally belongs to the now. The body doesn't need to practice how to be in the now, you see, or how to be silent, or how to be timeless. It already has this nature. So if you begin to tune into it, you realize that it's already steeped in the now. It has never really left it. So, even more deeply, the body has never been separated from the universe. It is a part of the universe, and it actually contains the memory of being a part of being the universe. The very concept the very strange way that we speak of the universe always makes it sound, right, as if there is some kind of an object, right? We say life. I want to be connected to life, or I want to be a part of life, or I want to be one with the... What are we talking about, you see? It's what else can be aside from life and the universe? Can you be outside of life? Who is outside of life, you see? Who is separate? Who is separated from the universe? It's not, it doesn't even make sense. So the body this doesn't make sense. It contains the memory of the Big Bang, if there was such a thing. But whatever, the beginning of time, it was there. At the very beginning, it was a part of this unified mass of energy. So whenever we speak about a body that is lowly and material and non-spiritual, unlike our supreme consciousness, we actually say that only because we have no idea, no experience of what the body really is. So what is actually responsible for all the trouble? What is responsible for the sense of separation? What is responsible for all the desires and lusts if it's not the body? We say the body is the most innocent, the sweetest being. It's a simple being that is actually desireless by its very nature. The body doesn't have desires. This is completely distorted. It's a superstition. It cannot be a source of desires because desires are actually very unhealthy physically. They are exhausting. It's exhausting to pursue desires. We all know that. And so the body doesn't have addictions, and the body doesn't know what desire is. It simply has no idea because it's so simple in its needs. It has such minimal needs. And it's already unified and satisfied that when religious minds have I said that, religious mind have blamed the body, it's only because they haven't really understood the nature of the mind and what the mind can do. What happens when the mind governs the body? What happens when the body has to follow the mind? Because what is desire? When I have a desire or an addiction, this means that there is some kind of a physical, pleasurable physical sensation. The body doesn't crave this physical sensation constantly. It's insane for the body because it's unnatural. You see, it's like nature. The body doesn't have endless sexual thoughts or fantasies. It doesn't need to constantly fulfill sexual desire. It's, for the body, this is insanity. It has perhaps from time to time occasional impulse, but so very different from the way people experience sexual desire. The body doesn't crave sugar. It is not addicted to sugar. It's not that the body develops this tendency. So what happens with the mind is that it isolates some physical sensation, and then it creates an image out of this sensation. This image is a promise of happiness or satisfaction, because the mind is an never satisfied creature. It is, as in Tibetan Buddhism, they called it, there is the realm of the hungry ghosts. Do you know the realm of the hungry ghosts? It's in the bardo after you leave the body. So if you failed to follow the light directly, then unfortunately you have to start traveling through the in-between. And in the in-between there are different realms that are really terrible. They are not terrible because you are punished. They are terrible because they reflect your own ignorance, you see. They simply preserve and express your own misunderstanding, your own ignorance. And then there is the realm of the hungry ghosts. The hungry ghosts, they have a big mouth. They want to eat all the time. They feel that they are all the time hungry, but they have opening instead of stomach, and so this means that they can never digest and can never really take in. Whatever they put in immediately comes out. So they can never feel, even for a moment, satisfaction. So they have plenty of food there and they eat. They eat, but it always comes out. That's why this is their own hell, you see? It's a hell that the mind has created. So it's the mind that is completely dissatisfied and creates images and then pursues these images. It duplicates, it replicates one physical sensation that is by nature fleeting, and then it wants to perpetuate it constantly. This is how sexual desires or sugar addiction, they come into being. So what is chasing after these things, after desires and lusts? What is lust-stricken? What is desire-ridden? It is the mind. It is thought. And because the mind is so full of conflict and is so full of desire and lust and this insatiable ambition, it actually causes the body to become sick very often, because it exhausts the body. the poor body, which is like nature, which is like the cosmos, which has natural rhythms, which is extremely delicate and beautiful and space-like, slowly becomes exhausted. So when we say, I am physically exhausted, we usually mean, except for, of course, there are exceptions, don't get me wrong, but usually what we mean is, I, through my mind's desires, passions, and lusts, have exhausted the body. Because the body itself is naturally healthy. If you leave it alone, if you leave it be, it's healthy, it's joyful, it lives in the now, and it is spiritual. I hope you still have patience, that you're fine with me talking more. Because there's more to understand here. So what really needs to be free is the body from us, not us from the body, you see? The big myth, the big superstition tells us you should be free yourself from body consciousness, but actually the troublemaker is you, you see? What you identify as you, this mind, which is not even the mind that is the troublemaker, because the mind itself is also space-like. It's also pure in nature, but there is some small island within the mind where there is the me. And in this me has its memories and desires and attachments and clinging, and this me is the troublemaker. I don't know if you know Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi was a great sage, a great Indian sage of the 20th century. And he said something that really touched me. He said, the only things that are real are the body and consciousness or absolute reality. In between these two, there is one strange thing that arises that is called the I. I don't know what the origin of this I. That's his statement. You see, so really in reality there is body and consciousness, but also body is consciousness. It's inseparable from it. Now try to find this separate self inside the body. Try to find it. We say always I, right? I want, I'm angry, I desire. Try to look for this I within the body, and you will realize that it's like you're chasing your own tail, you see? It's like you can't find something that doesn't exist. Which means that in the body there is no such thing as an I. It is not separate, just as the tree, the lake, that don't have their own separate consciousness, you see? It's because this is the strange thing about the mind and its illusions, that it really imagines that it belongs to itself. You see? It imagines that it belongs to itself, that it's like its own independent person, existence. It's not supported by the universe, it's not a part. It has its own resources. like an autonomy. So forgive me if I'm quoting again, but since we are talking about the empty body meditation, there was 1,000 years ago a great master called Tilopa. Tilopa is the one that brought to us eventually the empty body and the inner fire and so on and so on. Then Tilopa, in his song, the Ganges Mahamudra, he says, body like a plantain tree without an essence, with no essence. What does that mean? It means that the body is like a plantain tree. Plantain tree is wrapped around itself. The leaves are wrapped around themselves in a way that it seems as if there is a trunk, you see? As if there is essence. And then you open it to find the trunk, but you realize that inside there is nothing. So it's a deception, you see? In the sense, so that's why Tilopa says body, like a plantain tree, has no essence. There is nothing that you can find there as a center, because the body is a part of the universe. It has always been. That's natural, and the body is nature. So that's what we need to really free and to purify our being from, not from body consciousness. And actually, when you come to think about it, we hear very often in spiritual doctrines, stop identifying with the body. Practice, I am not the body. Right? We hear that. I am not the body, I am not the body. Practice, I am not the body. And take a look at this sentence. I think the first thing that we need to tell these kind of doctrines, or these approaches, is first of all, what are you talking about? I'm already disidentified with the body. That's my problem. You see, I'm always disidentified from the body. I don't think I'm the body. I'm actually watching from the mind at the body, so I'm completely detached. I do it naturally. I don't need even to practice spiritually. It's all obvious. So in our actual experience, the problem is that we are not unified with the body, you see? We don't really experience it from within. It's an object that we watch from the mind, and this is why the level where most people are, level of relationship with the body, we can speak of three levels of relationship with the body. The first level is, I have a body, right? That's what most people intuitively experience. I have a body, as if the body is something that I drag around like a car. The body is a sort of vehicle that helps me to move from one desire fulfillment to another. I use the body for my desire fulfillment, of course, which is never fulfilling. It's just always, it's a desire fulfillment, but it's not fulfilling. And I have it, I own it, I possess it. I certainly don't experience that I am it, so I don't need to say I'm not the body. This level is not, it's not even a good instruction. Second, we have a second level, which is when we hear, I am not the body. That's what we hear, that we need to practice disidentification, detachment, to transcend body consciousness, from body consciousness to spirit consciousness. But remember that to a certain degree, we're only, what we are required at this stage is only to expand or to make more extreme our already existing disidentification from the body. Do you understand? It's like, yeah, okay, I'm already disidentified, so now I will simply move from I have a body to I am not a body. I will really completely alienate myself. I will be a free consciousness floating in space. But that's not enough. This is the thing. That's not enough, because the third level and the deepest level is I am the body. You see? That's the state that is truly unified, in which we're the consciousness that we are and the body that we are is realized as not so separate. We realize that there can be a fusion of the two if we only begin to stop alienating ourselves from the body, becoming profoundly one with its nature, and realizing that this is the deepest spirituality. Of course, when you are one with, you are the body, you are not one with the body, you are the body, because body is consciousness. That's a very different state, because there is no more, the body and the mind, they function as one unit. And the body finally flourishes. You see, it flowers, it blossoms like a flower, like a tree. It is so natural and so happy, and it reveals its secrets. And it leads you to the now, it leads you to the universe, it leads you to unity, much more than the mind could ever dream of or hope for. Of course, it's always good to keep the body as light as possible in order to be able to experience this truth, because again, when we're overburdening it, when we are putting so much demand on it, it becomes exhausted, it becomes so tired of fulfilling desires that are completely unfulfillable physically. Probably this is why desire never works. Because we are trying through the vehicle that actually cannot tolerate this type of strange practice. So you see, we are starting to then to go within, but in a different way. We don't, when we hear go within, we don't think of some kind of an abstract idea. We understand, okay, let's go within. Let's go deep into the mysteries of the material world and realize that it's actually not really material, but that it is energy. It is an energy field. First of all, it is an energy field that is mainly composed of space. I read a book by one cosmologist describing how each atom, the space between the subatomic particles is so tremendous that we can literally think that the atom is more space, far more space than matter. Then when we are entering the body so deeply, we're actually realizing that it's no different from outer space, you see? It's like it's deep inside and deep outside. You can travel infinitely, and it's complete openness, it's complete emptiness, dotted with some stars that vibrate. And so what the body really is an energy field. It's not matter, because you see, there are of course different material components, but the material components they are not the organizing principle. You see, they are like a community. But what organizes this community? What binds this community? It is an energy field. Sometimes we say, yeah, well, my thought is the organizing principle, but we all know that the thought has absolutely no idea what's going on in the body, right? It doesn't understand the body. It doesn't understand why it becomes sick, why it feels tired when it's tired, how it digests, what its real needs are. It has no idea what's going on. It is so clueless. And when you are the body, you are starting to be able to listen from within. You see, you don't need to listen to your body, because you are your body. You are starting to move as one. You have the same interest. Perhaps we know that deep within our body there is also a subtle body of Kundalini, a subtle body of chakras, a subtle body of nadis, subtle nervous system, which means that even our innermost subtle body is deep within the body. You see, so the body itself is a celebration of the spirit. It's not non-spiritual. It's actually a gateway. And this is the tantric approach. The tantric approach says, you don't need to come out of, you need to go very deeply inside and work with the materials that you have, that you are made of, because these materials are already spiritual. So the first thing we need to do when we are meditating, if we want to to start experimenting with that. And of course, the empty body is really useful for that, because that's the direct truth. It tells you, imagine, visualize the substantial body melting into light, dissolving into emptiness. Now it is rainbow-like. And that's body like a plantain tree, has no essence. It's without a self, without interruption. That's why it begins to flow healthily. But also the very important thing is to stop thinking when we are meditating that we are aware from the head. Very often we think that we are aware from the head, you see. This is where we are aware, and we are looking from there at our sensations and feelings and experiences. But this is a part of the illusion. The body is filled with awareness, with consciousness. It is so filled with it that we need to learn how to move our attention from the head to the awareness that exists in the tip of our fingers, in our belly, that the whole body is attention, you see? The whole body is this awareness.